Throughout participating in the hackathons, I kept thinking to myself, I really need to tell more about hackathons and about what I learned and about the other great things that comes with joining a hackathon. Right? It was Athena Hacks back in 2022 February. So it's been a year since I've been hacking. It was actually a fun hackathon because that was my first, and there were four of us or five of us. We all were first time except one. People from all over the different parts of the world, different ethnicities. So that was nice. Then Podium was my first Wix hack. I just want to talk a little about this project because this was my first hack. So if you go and see the site over here, I think it's still there. This looks like pretty good, right? You can see blogs, you can see podcasts. Like there's a whole lot of, right. But the thing is, we've not actually coded this because Wix is a great site. If you've not used it, it's a great site to get your project started. To if you're planning to host a website like that's and you are a startup, like this is a great place. It has forums, internship, like basically like the whole pack, right? You can have chats. You can actually join the forums, post discussions. Basically, like you look at this and you're like, okay, this has all the things you need, right? But we did not actually win, get a prize on this, and I learned it after submitting. Apparently, to get the Velo by Wix prize on the MLH hackathons, you need to be using Velo. Okay, so these are pre-made. If you use the Wix site, these are pre-made applications. You just have to import it, and that's all. You literally don't have to use any coding knowledge, right? So we worked on it. It was actually really good, but it did not fit the criteria, right? Fit the criteria of the price. So that's another thing I see many applicants, hackers that use Velo by Wix. They think it's about making it makes the site look good and all, but if you don't actually code something, it's my first one, and then I learned, okay, apparently it's not about Wix, it's about Velo. So here, if you see, it's a simple website. If I go over here, it's a simple website, but the thing is it has these functionalities, right? And I use, if you see the GitHub repo, I actually have code that I wrote. So I had HTTP functions, I had webhooks, I had Twilio integrated it. So basically, like I had to write like a bunch of APIs and get expose the HTTP and all of it, which you can see in Velo by Wix documentation. Yeah, they have the API references and all of it, which has everything you need to get started. It's like any other language, right? We say Python. Python has its own documentation, same thing. Velo has its own references on how to do how to put data to the database. It has its own database, HTTP functions to expose those database to other applications, backend, API secrets, storage, window to get the current location. So all of these are like really cool features that you think, okay, Wix is a pre-made site. It's all about pre-made site, but you can use all this to make it any amount of fully functional sites, right? So you think, okay, like how do people, like I've seen hackers winning like 50 prizes, and I'm like, okay, how do you do that? Like, especially when I started out, I was like, how do you get 50 prizes? Like, that's winning 50 hackathons, and you have to participate around, even if you were to win every other hackathon, you have to participate in 100. It's a lot of week, that's a lot of effort. Turns out you get better as you go on, and you get better as you go on. That's the first thing. Second thing is it becomes a habit, right? My first hackathon, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna sleep. I'm not gonna um, I'm not gonna do anything else. Like I'm just gonna focus on this because that's what we have about hackathons. Hackathons are these intensive programs where you keep on coding day in day out, um, wearing hoodies and dark lit rooms and just being on your lap the whole time. That's what I thought, right? So the first hackathon, I was like, okay, before the hackathon started, I was like, I need to like sleep like for a long time so that for the next 2 days, you all these hackathons for 48 hours. For the next 2 days, I need to be awake, right? The first one which I showed you earlier, I did not sleep, and like towards the end I was so sleep deprived that I literally collapsed. I did not know what was going and I just collapsed. It was, since it was a group work, others took over and they um, managed to get things. But I wouldn't change a thing about the first hackathon because I needed that experience to understand how it works. So I know it's a lot very daunting to get started on your first hackathon, but you need that first step. You need to get that first step cleared off to go to the next one, right? I know it's daunting, but you need to do that. That's just part of the journey. The second thing I would say is focus on the journey of it. Like, it's not about winning, it's about learning. I learned a lot during my first hackathon. That was the first time I knew about MLH. That was the first time I got like a real experience of MLH. Funny enough, I've heard of MLH fellowship before MLH hackathons, but MLH is more about hackathons than it's about fellowship. Like most of the people who reached out to me, they were like, okay, how do you get into fellowship? I'm like, MLH is more about the hackathon than it's about the fellowship. Fellowship is part of it. The hackathons are what actually drives you. It's the journey to fellowship because the hackathon, the first hackathon that we worked on, that project was what drove me to build my fellowship application project. So if you know about the fellowship is about one of the requirements is to submit a really good full stack application. So the experience that I gained from that hackathon and how driven and passionate I was to build that project was what led me to get the fellowship. And that was my first interaction to the MLH community. I turns out Nick, who is the COO of MLH, was one of the MLH judges. Mentors and coach in that hackathon. It was Athena Hack. So Nick actually was so kind. That was my first time hearing about Twilio. I did not know how to pronounce Twilio, and now I can't go a single project without using Twilio. So that was because he was so kind. He was so patient in helping me, and I think that's very important. If you have a beginner coming into a hackathon, be kind, be caring, be patient, be really patient. You need that because they'll get it. It's a scary first step, but it needs to be done, and being patient can actually lead them to go farther, right? Another thing before we go is every MLH has hackathons every weekend, and they have at least two. I love MLH hackathons because of the community, the support. You know the flow. You feel at home, participate in one. It happens every weekend. So even if you don't get through this, you've learned a lot, and you can try for the next time, right? And you can actually see the project submitted, right? This time they've not still announced the winners. So, but during the closing ceremony, I saw, okay, these are the winners, and I came across this site called Better Meet, right? Through their site, and I was like, wow, like this is not a sponsor prize hackathon. It was it was using I think React, Vercel, and Mongo, Express, Node. Amazing. It's an actually cool, sleek design. Another thing is, don't end your hackathon by whether you win or not. Like, don't let that be the end. Focus on seeing other projects and reaching out to other winners and ask them how they did it and learn, because it's not just about that milestone of winning. See who are the winners, learn from them, see their project, see what makes their project better than yours, be a continuing learner, and give that a go next week, because it's a continuing process. You can go here and see this site. So I went here and I was like, oh, wow, the design, everything, and this was not made using Velo, right? This is all made using um, pure code. So here, this is the GitHub. It has the client, the server, basically the whole package, right? And I was like, wow, this is so cool. They've done so much. So I connected with Kedar and I spoke to him, and I think we'll have a call in the afternoon. And I want to learn how he did it. He has really good front end skills. Another thing you can do is just go to their profile, see what their projects are. This was another great project. So this was another great project, and I went to that project and I actually tried it out, and I'm like, okay, I'm using this on a daily basis. 100% recommended. Building applications, you have DevOps, like everything, and the design is so cool. Um, you need to go to this site and try it out. It's a really good one. I appreciate. So my point is, you learn, you participate in a hackathon. Don't let that be the end of it. You focus on learning through that, seeing other projects, because there's so many projects out there for every hackathon. It really gives me goosebumps, because there's so many projects out there. There's so many skills different people have. Not just the winners. You just go on and see. Like, this was the first thing I saw. So there are different great projects over here. You just have to go and see how it's done, see what are their skills, reach out to them. See, these are the people who did it. So reach out to them and see what they have to say about the project, right? It's great. So if you want to join a hackathon this weekend, you can go to events MLH 2023. 2023. Do they have that side? Yeah, okay. Season schedule. 10 hackathons happening next weekend. I'm telling you, the opportunities here are endless. And you get really good prizes as well. You get swags, even just for participating, get stickers sent to you. There are many mini events where when you participate, there is raffle draw, and you can get amazing prizes on that as well. Great way to start your weekend, to end your week, rather, to end your week. It's a great way to end your week. For me personally, I spent a week in college, going to uni, learning a bunch of stuff. But those 2 days at the end of the week is what I truly treasure and truly learn. Because those 2 days at the end of the week is where I actually implement what I learn. Not just what I learned entirely, like I like try to draw out all the knowledge I have, and I actually learn a lot, because I have to. What I said over here, I used to go here. I did not use or know what data sets, how it works, but it's just read the documentation, and it was on the go. The learning growth during that weekend is so much more higher than an entire week at college, right? Or rather, entire semester, because that weekend is what put your knowledge to test, and you really, really learn hard, right? Join these hackathons. Like I'm saying, you join it, just sign up. Um, it's 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 a wonderful experience. I know it's very, very daunting at first, but you need to get that first step clear. When you get that first step clear, it becomes a fun experience, and you'll regret not joining earlier, right? Reach out to me if there's anything, just if you need help in anything. We can hop on a Google Meet call and discuss about how to move forward, how to participate in hackathon, any um, feelings of overwhelm that you have before participating in our first hackathon. We can hop on a call. I'll walk you through the registration process. I'll say you just watch how the hackathon goes. Your first hackathon, you don't have to make a project. You just have to see, because it's a bit complex. I understand, because there's so many channels on Discord and there's so many like events happening and all of it, but it's worth the go, because it's a bit of adjusting time, and then it's so worth it. Yeah. I hope I can see you in the next hackathon.